To conquer the tyrant, I disguised myself as a man and infiltrated the palace as a civil official, but I ended up overplaying my hand and was rewarded with the 9 familial exterminations package. Kneeling in the underworld, I begged the system, which finally took pity and gave me another chance, allowing me to choose someone to be reincarnated as. I wanted to choose one close to the imperial palace, but the tyrant's harem was completely empty. System reincarnation countdown: 10, 9, 8, 7. I stomped my foot, gritted my teeth, closed my eyes, and dove headfirst into the tyrant's belly. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. After my head and body separated, I came back to life, though I haven't been born yet. Through the belly, I heard the tyrant brandishing his sword all around, the sound of things being smashed to pieces. He trembled and roared, "What is this? Tell me, what is this?" I calculated my current size. He must be showing. Then came the voice of the imperial physician. "Your Majesty, based on my years of experience, it is undoubtedly a pregnancy pulse." The tyrant exploded. "I am a man," the physician flattered. "This only proves that Your Majesty is truly the foremost in the world, capable of achieving what even women can accomplish." The tyrant fell silent, the sound of the tyrant raising his sword. The tyrant roared, "Do you believe I won't have all of you killed?" Just thinking about this tyrant, who would chop off heads at the slightest disagreement in court, finally being put in his place, I couldn't help but chuckle with glee. A careless move was too abrupt. The tyrant's sword fell from his hand, and he seemed to be in great pain. "Something is moving inside my belly," the imperial physician explained. "Your Majesty, don't worry, it's just normal fetal movement." "Enough nonsense. Tell me how to get rid of it." The imperial physicians whispered among themselves for a while and concluded that it couldn't be removed. "Your Majesty, a man becoming pregnant is unheard of in this world. Forcibly removing it would likely endanger his life. Please reconsider, Your Majesty." I could almost picture the tyrant's face turning pale, looking as if he wished for death. The me inside the belly is feeling great again, under Xuanling's coercion. The Imperial Medical Institute tried every means to get rid of me without endangering the Emperor's body. 360 strategies were employed in turn to torture my tiny life. With such tricks, they think they can kill me. Not a chance. I held tightly onto the umbilical cord, remaining perfectly still inside Xuanling's belly. After all the tossing and turning, several months passed. Xuanling was forced to wear loose clothing to conceal the belly. And all the attendants around were trusted confidants. Anyone who dared to gossip would face the immediate elimination of their entire clan. Hiding and concealing. The day of delivery arrived in the blink of an eye, but this suddenly hit the blind spot of the imperial physician's knowledge. No one had ever delivered a baby for a man before. No one knew how. In the end, they had to issue a notice, using the imperial hospital's name to seek renowned doctors from all over the land. One morning, I opened my eyes and slowly shifted. Xuanling's fetus moved. Lying in bed, he gritted his teeth. "Once he's born, I'll kill him." Even though the imperial physicians had made all possible preparations, they were still somewhat at a loss when it came to actually handling the situation. They were murmuring around my head, "What should we do about this? No idea, never seen this before. I can't take it anymore." Xuanling's voice was fierce. "Are you all even capable or not?" No one dared to claim they were. Just as the imperial physicians were at a loss, someone came to report that a divine healer claimed to have encountered this situation before and knew how to handle it. Before long, the divine healer was summoned, and a woman's voice spoke up. "Your Majesty, this humble woman has a method to ensure Your Majesty's safe delivery. This method is specifically for those who face difficulties in childbirth, and I call it a cesarean section." This voice sounds so familiar. Isn't this the voice of my best friend Lin Lu? How did she end up in this godforsaken place too? Best friends reuniting with tears in their eyes. Once I'm born, I'll definitely give her a huge surprise. Xuanling was in so much pain he couldn't speak. By nature, he was highly suspicious. Under normal circumstances, anyone daring to suggest such a risky operation would be on their way to reincarnation the next second, probably at a loss for options now. Desperate times call for desperate measures. I had no idea where to go inside my belly, and there was no passage either. I seemed to see Lin Lu rolling up her sleeves, saying, "Your Majesty, This common girl is about to perform the surgery for you. Wait, a C-section. I suddenly remembered something. And my wide grin instantly faded. Holy shit, Dr. Linlu has been delaying her graduation for years. Letting her deliver me is a death wish. I wriggled frantically in the womb. Wishing I could scream for someone to stop her, her voice grew closer, and I felt the cold blade right above my head. Suddenly she paused and asked in confusion, what was the first step again? Xianling felt his vision go dark. Oh heavens, after finally getting a second chance, I can't let it be ruined by her. Destiny lies in one's own hands. I struggled forward with all my might, wriggling desperately, and Xianling let out a piercing scream through my relentless efforts. I finally caught a glimpse of daylight. I was born. The midwife held me, beaming with joy. Congratulations, Your Majesty. Congratulations, it's a little princess. I opened my mouth and smiled at the tyrant father, trying to please him. Xianling struggled to stand up. He was wearing an undergarment, his long black hair cascading down his back, his strikingly beautiful face pale and haggard from the recent childbirth. I grinned foolishly. A weak postpartum male mother. Hee, good granny. The next second, I couldn't laugh anymore. He drew his sword, staggering toward me, his eyes filled with murderous intent. Now I can finally kill you. The people around knelt all over the ground. When Xianling wanted to kill, no one dared to stop him. My small face was filled with terror. System, save me. Is there a newbie protection period? I'm going to have to restart again in a moment. Ding, the system notification sound rang out in my mind. System prompt. Host Shu Nan has initiated a stage mission, prevent the tyrant from killing. Host Lin Lu has bound a special skill, 100% empty-handed blade catch. I can't even save my own life, and now I have to stop him from killing. I couldn't help but scream out loud as the sword was about to strike my face. Suddenly, Lin Lu swiftly moved in front of me, dropping to one knee and clasping his hands together to catch the blade directly. Xianling pulled the sword out and swung again. Lin Lu caught it once more. Keep chopping. Keep going. Xianling and Lin Lu locked eyes. Xianling, Lin Lu. I was overjoyed. Was this the power of the 100% empty-handed blade catch? Of course, I celebrated too soon. Xianling was so angry he laughed, tossed the sword aside, and waved his hand. Guards, drag this quack doctor away and behead him for me. Me, Lin Lu. Heavens above, my life is over. Xianling reached out, his pale, slender fingers caressing my neck, then slowly tightening. An intense feeling of suffocation washed over me, my face turning a deep shade of purple. At the critical moment, I seemed to gain control of this small body, my throat forcing out a few broken words. Tears fell drop by drop, looking as pitiful as one could imagine. Not knowing what he likes to hear, I just called out randomly, "Father, Mother, it hurts." Upon hearing these words, Xianling recoiled his hand as if scalded by something. Lin Lu, who was being held and forced out nearby, broke free and knelt on the ground, shouting loudly, "Your Majesty, the little princess can speak human language right after birth. She must be a celestial being reincarnated. Heaven blesses our great Xia. Please reconsider, Your Majesty." Finally catching my breath, tears welled up in my eyes as I secretly gave a thumbs up in my heart. My best friend, you're absolutely amazing. The originally kneeling palace maids, eunuchs, and imperial physicians, seeing someone take the lead, also bowed even lower. Please reconsider, Your Majesty. After all, I am now the only royal bloodline. If Xianling kills me in a fit of rage today, what if he regrets it later and decides to take it out on everyone present? The crowd is pleading not just for my life, but for their own as well. Xianling pressed his lips together and changed his mind again. Forget it, I'll kill you another day. He looked at me with a sinister gaze. I shall see for myself whether you truly are a reincarnation of a celestial being. My buttocks clenched. Xianling ordered his men to release Lin Lu. From today onwards, you will personally take care of the princess. After Xianling assigned me a place to stay, Lin Lu grabbed me and fled as if escaping. I clutched her collar with my small hands, crying bitterly, "Bestie, it's me." Lin Lu nodded. "I know, that's why I came to save you." I burst into tears, so moved. I nestled against her chest like a little bird, whimpering softly. Lin Lu's lips twitched slightly. In such a touching scene, I thought she was going to say something. Who would have thought she just clicked her tongue and slapped her thigh? No way. Today, the kowtows I give you, you'll have to return them to me someday. So, my best friend and I ended up time traveling together. I've now become a princess. My best friend has now become the princess's maid. Lin Lu hugged me and sat in front of the desk, slamming the table. Why am I the maid? I held the bowl and sipped milk from the edge, because I died once to earn this. Lin Lu fell silent, then called for someone to bring a spoon and fed me sip by sip. You silly girl, drink more. She was feeding me too quickly. Me, gulp, gulp. It splashed on my face. Of course, as a princess, it was impossible not to have a wet nurse. It's just that when the wet nurse untied her robe and brought it to my mouth, I really couldn't bring myself to take a sip. I'd rather drink it myself. Lin Lu and I eat and live together day and night, just like back in the orphanage. When bored at night, just tease people. Lin Lu placed the candle on the bedside table. The brush drawers stick figures on the paper. Let's start with this little cutie. Talking until midnight, Lin Lu suddenly confessed. Was I too harsh? My chubby hand patted her shoulder as I comforted. We were just telling the truth. Sometimes Lin Lu also liked to tell ghost stories. After finishing, I patted my chest in fright. Oh my God, that scared me to death. I almost peed my pants. Lin Lu laughed so hard she nearly toppled over. Since when have you been such a fan? I lifted the blanket and looked at her seriously. It's true, Lin Lu. Fortunately, most of my daily needs are taken care of by dedicated palace maids. Shenling sometimes comes to see me. He still hasn't given up on killing me. One moment he was telling the wet nurse to bring me closer so he could take a look. In the next second, he drew the guard's sword and swung it at my head. Lin Lu, who had been standing a meter away, scrambled over in a panic and once again dropped to one knee, clasping his hands together to catch the blade. Shenling's face was terrifyingly dark. Lin Lu awkwardly withdrew his hand and scratched his head. Haha, Your Majesty, please forgive my offense. I see you no longer wish to keep these hands of yours, Shenling said. Guards, cut off her hands for me. Lin Lu, she reacted extremely quickly, suddenly standing up and hugging me, crying with such genuine emotion. Princess, I can no longer serve you from now on. I won't be able to fetch your chamber pot or tend to your needs. You must learn to take care of yourself, and I will always hold you in my thoughts. I also pinched my thigh hard, my eyes welling up with tears. Aunt Lin, I can't bear to part with you either. We hugged each other and cried bitterly. Shenling rubbed his temples and said impatiently, Enough, stop pretending. Get out of my sight, right away. This servant will take her leave immediately. Lin Lu swiftly dragged me out of the room. Shenling had repeated this kind of operation countless times. Every time he came, both Lin Lu and I would break into a cold sweat. Staying on high alert, Shenling, as expected, used all his underhanded tricks on me. He carried me to the edge of the lotus pond and suddenly let go, scaring me so much that I clung desperately to his clothes. While eating, he grabbed the bowl and smashed it over my head. I had to keep one eye on guard even during meals, and every day he'd polish that shabby sword with that ragged cloth. While polishing it, he'd suddenly swing the sword toward my neck. The plot that followed was as fixed as an elementary school student's essay. Lin Lu caught the blade barehanded. Shenling slashed at her. We hugged each other and cried bitterly. Shenling told us to get lost. Shenling's comment about me was, quite hard to kill. Me, finally managed to send Shenling away. Lin Lu and I collapsed on the ground, panting heavily while complaining. Me, if this goes on, I'm going to have a heart attack. I feel like I already have one, Lin Lu said. Putting my hands together and kneeling on one knee has become my default move. My hands are even calloused from it. When Shenling wasn't around, the Chaoyang Palace was our domain, mine and Lin Lu's. Every time Shenling left, he would bestow quite a few rewards upon us. A slap followed by a sweet date. Lin Lu looked at the pairs of gold and silver jewelry and frantically waved her hands. Don't give them to me. I don't want them at all. The corner of my mouth twitched. Your drool is about to drip on the ground. In the end, I designated a side hall specifically as Lin Lu's little treasury, where the majority of all the rewards ended up in her pocket. No one bothered us, and we lived a leisurely life. In her spare time, Lin Lu borrowed my name to bring back many medical books from the Imperial Hospital. The yard was also filled with the herbs she had laid out to dry. I sat nearby, watching her carefully turn over the herbs, curious. Darling, why did you suddenly decide to study traditional Chinese medicine? Lin Lu majored in clinical medicine in college, and although she had some exposure to the basic theories of traditional Chinese medicine, mastering it systematically now would be no easy task. Oh, you're talking about this, Lin Lu said leisurely. Western medicine can't help you much here, if someone ever tries to poison you someday. Only traditional Chinese medicine can save you here. I looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle. The sun is a bit dazzling today, otherwise, why would my eyes feel so warm? In my previous life, every time Xuanling's favorability dropped by 1 point, I would be punished, in the imperial court. Before I could even speak, just as I was about to, Xuanling's favorability plummeted sharply. Me, what did I do to make you target me like this? The system's electric current was dancing wildly through my veins. If it weren't for being in court, I'd really want to roll on the ground and scream. I endured the pain and finished stating my opinion, my head practically smoking from the shock. Xianling just gave a lukewarm response. After court, some gossipy mouth couldn't keep quiet and spread the word far and wide, saying that Lord Shu was so enraged by His Majesty today that black smoke was coming out of his head. System detected a drop in the Tyrant's favorability. Me, on the way home, I was zapped and squealed in pain. I thought things would be different in this life. Never expected I'd still get electrocuted. Stopping the Tyrant from killing is the system's task, but with my current body, by the time I could even flutter near Xianling, the person would have already been dragged away and buried. Every day, I'm either being electrocuted or on my way to being electrocuted. I also have to be on guard against Xianling to protect both my own life and Lin Lu's. Exhausted, time flies, and in the blink of an eye, it's been 3 years since I became the Tyrant's daughter. I carried a food box as tall as myself, ready to pay a visit to my so-called father. Just as I reached the gate of the Qianqing Palace, Chief Eunuch Zhao, by Xuanling's side, winked at me. Princess, His Majesty is not available today. You should go back for now. A cold voice came from inside the door. It was Xianling. Let her in. I went in alone. Inside the door, Xianling was leaning back on the couch with his legs propped up, polishing his sword again. The air around him was so cold it felt like it could freeze solid. I shivered, but still forced a smile and moved closer. Father, I have brought you. Before the words could fully leave my mouth, a sharp sword aura sliced through the air and pressed against my skin. That sword is now at my neck. Lin Lu's 100% empty-handed blade catch only works where she can see. Now it's just Xianling and me here. The little person in my mind had a complete out-of-body experience. Damn it, it's been 3 years. How is he not tired of this yet? What made me break out in a cold sweat even more was that Xianling didn't seem to be joking this time. He really wants to kill me here. Life is in danger, I screamed inwardly. System, get out here. What's going on now? What madness is he up to again? The system quickly recounted Xianling's life story. Today is the anniversary of the death of Xuanling's mother, Consort Yang. Born into a military family, she had aspired since childhood to follow in her father and brother's footsteps to conquer the northern tribes. When she discovered that her secret lover was actually the emperor traveling incognito, she abandoned her lifelong ambition and willingly entered the palace to become his consort, but the emperor was fickle. After she gave birth to Xianling and his younger brother, her beauty faded, and the emperor turned to seek love elsewhere. Her father and brothers also died in battle. Moreover, while pregnant with her second son, Consort Yang was harmed by someone. The child was frail and sickly from birth and passed away at just 2 years old. Overwhelmed with grief, Consort Yang took her own life. She used this very sword. No wonder Xianling is as moody as a madman all day long. First, his own younger brother died, and then his mother followed, leaving him all alone. Anyone in that situation would want to take revenge on society. I suddenly seem to understand why Xianling is so indecisive about killing me. His mother gave up everything from her past because of his father, and because of his younger brother, she gave up her life. With emotions come vulnerabilities. He would not allow emotions to become a tool to control him. In my past life, Xuanling's teacher, Elder Yang, was deeply concerned for the people and the nation, remaining upright and incorruptible. All of Xuanling's knowledge and abilities were taught by Elder Yang. Such a man, merely because he prided himself on being the emperor's teacher and looked down on others with arrogance, was later executed by Xianling on a fabricated charge, I risk my life to offer this remonstrance. Perfect. I was also executed, with the punishment extending to the extermination of my entire clan. Fortunately, in this world, I have no blood relatives, so no one else was implicated. At the first sign of trouble, Xianling nipped it in the bud. He had feelings for Elder Yang, but his rationality outweighed his emotions. He felt that if he couldn't bring himself to act now over a small matter, he might not be able to do so later when faced with something much bigger, so he made a decisive move to sever this emotional tie. System. The strange thing is that Elder Yang holds a certain weight in his heart. If it were someone else, that head might not necessarily have fallen. What a bizarre logic. My system and I said in unison in our minds, what a lunatic. It seems that Xianling didn't kill me earlier because he didn't care about me. Now that he wants to kill me, does that mean I've finally caught his attention? The sword is still at my neck. Xianling's eyes were pitch black. Why didn't you dodge? I forced myself to stay calm and met his gaze. Everything I have was given to me by your majesty. You are the closest person to me in this world. Whatever you do, I am willing to accept it. I'm practically about to kneel to him. Bro, I'll do anything you ask. I won't affect you in the future either. Please, don't kill me. Xuanling's eyes flickered with unfathomable emotions before he finally sheathed his sword and chuckled softly. You do look somewhat like a celestial being in this state. He beckoned. Come here, let your father see if you've gained weight. Me, what do you mean by fat? I'm just plump. As I grew bigger, Xianling thought I should have a mother. Not many people in the palace knew that Xianling had given birth to me himself, and they also thought Xianling should find me a mother. The imperial decree was issued. Soon, a large group of selected maidens entered the palace in a bustling crowd. I sat on Xianling's lap as the maidens came forward one by one. Xianling propped his chin lazily with one hand and said, pick one that catches your eye yourself. It felt rather awkward to have these teenage girls serve as mothers to someone like me, whose mental age was over 20. I hesitated and spoke. Father, can I really choose for myself? Xianling, what are you pretending for? When have I ever interfered with your decisions? Me, I was just being polite. I observed these charming beauties, some of whom were even winking at Xianling from afar. I turned around to see Xianling had already closed his eyes. Me, it was like casting amorous glances at a blind man. I need to choose someone who is willing to enter the palace. My eyes are dazzled from looking. At this moment, it was a beautiful candidate's turn, and the stunning beauty walked gracefully over. The breeze she brought with her fragrant. I was intoxicated by the fragrant wind, and in a daze, a flash of silver light under the sun dazzled my eyes. I saw the beauty fiercely pull out a dagger disguised as a hairpin from her bun, stabbing straight toward Xianling. My vision went black. Damn it, is there no way to survive this? The system alarm blared loudly. In the blink of an eye, Lin Lu made her entrance with her signature move. 100% empty-handed blade catch. Beauty. The beauty's pupils widened in shock, as if she had never seen such a bizarre movement technique. The people around her quickly subdued her, assassinating the emperor. That will be my mission next. As expected, Xianling wearily lifted his eyelids and looked at Lin Lu. Reward. Then his gaze shifted to the disheveled beauty. Kill. I jolted, feeling the system charging up inside me. I threw myself into Xuanling's arms, pitching my voice high. Father Tilda, I want her to be my imperial consort. Mother Tilda. Xianling looked down at me. Pick another one. I felt an instant connection with this sister, an overwhelming sense of familiarity. I used every trick in the book. Finally managing to coax Xianling into agreeing, the beauty below began to shout curses. You heartless tyrant who treats human life as worthless. If it weren't for you, how could Brother Fang have died? Startled, I shuddered and quickly jumped down to cover her mouth. She was still not satisfied, and her cursing grew increasingly foul. The sound of electric currents sizzled inside her body. One hand wasn't enough, so she used both. I desperately covered her mouth, my heart, liver, and gall all trembling together. Mother, Imperial Mother, please, say no more. If your neck itches, I will scratch it for you when we return. My dear, don't seek your own death. Lin Lu and I were sweating profusely. Xianling, let her speak. The palace maid pulled me away. The beauty stared fixedly at Xianling. Recounting his crimes, Song Qingyi had a beloved man outside the palace, but Xianling issued an order requiring all unmarried women of eligible age to enter the palace. Thus, a pair of lovers were forcibly separated by imperial power. Helpless, Song Qingyi had no choice but to enter the palace, hoping she would be eliminated. Little did she know that Fang Lang, in despair, had thrown himself into the river. Xianling frowned. When did I ever issue such an edict? Song Qingyi was taken aback, instantly realizing the possible hidden truth behind it all. With just a glance from Xianling, Chief Eunuch Zhao stepped forward. Your Majesty, this old servant will investigate immediately. I tugged anxiously at Xuanling's sleeve. Father, what about my mother? Bestow upon her the title of Consort Shu and grant her residence in Chaoyang Palace. The other selected women, hey, if they had known the emperor was into this, why bother practicing dancing? They would have switched to martial arts long ago. Eunuch Zhao worked efficiently and quickly got to the bottom of the matter. Xuanling's decree was to gather volunteers to become selected women, but Song Qingyi's father, eager for his daughter to seize this immense fortune, twisted the meaning of the imperial edict. Fearing that Song Qingyi might run a passive campaign, they went all the way and sacrificed her lover to the river god. No longer passive, she became radical. The truth was revealed. Eunuch Zhao, Miss Song, His Majesty has instructed this old servant to ask you, if you still wish to leave the palace. You may do so of your own accord. Song Qingyi knelt and kowtowed. Please inform His Majesty that I am willing to accompany the imperial carriage. And so, that afternoon, Song Qingyi packed her belongings and joined our Chaoyang Palace family. Lin Lu and I lounged in the shade of the courtyard trees, each of us reclining in a rocking chair, fanning ourselves with palm leaf fans. Song Qingyi stood somewhat awkwardly at the door. Lin Lu waved her hand. Imperial Consort Shu, don't be shy. Make yourself at home. I pointed with my little finger to the empty spot beside me. Attendants, bring another rocking chair for Mother Consort. Song Qingyi, looking utterly bewildered, was helped onto the rocking chair and had a fan placed in her hand. The fan in her hand began to sway unconsciously. After fanning for a while, she suddenly sat up. Song Qingyi, wait, something's not right. Song Qingyi was quite accepting of the idea of being my mother. The more she did it, the more enthusiastic she became. Song Qingyi, no worries about food and drink, dressed in silks and satins, a husband who doesn't come home, and a daughter for free. Such a stroke of luck is hard to come by even with a lantern. Lin Lu and I gave a thumbs up. What a mindset. With Song Qingyi joining in, we finally had enough people for a game of cards. One day while the three of us were playing Paigao, that damn system gave me an electric jolt. Host stage task change reminder. Your mission has been updated. Become the Empress of Daxia and save the common people. Your current side quest is to gain the recognition of Chief Minister Ji in the cultural field. Me, Chief Minister Ji, the head of the cabinet, is a man of immense learning and talent, with an extremely high level of literary accomplishment. I got his approval. I pointed at myself and asked the system. Me, system, yes, you, me, what if I can't complete it? System, death, still speaking word by word. You damn system, you piece of junk. Good. With this, my heart is finally dead. I pushed the cards in front of me away with a blank expression. Activity terminated. Now, I'm going to study. Lin Lu, Song Qingyi. I counted on my fingers and proposed my idea to Eunuch Zhao. Eunuch Zhao beamed with joy as he bowed. For a princess of your age to have such an idea is truly a blessing from heaven to our great Xia. He reported this matter to Xianling, and Xianling didn't say anything, but in the blink of an eye, he found me a tutor. Song Qingyi, worried that I might fall behind, offered to give me some extra lessons in advance. Just kidding. After all, in my previous life in the modern era, I had at least made it through undergraduate studies. In my previous life, I was at least a civil official. On the first day of class, I wanted to take back those words. System, the knowledge about this era from your previous life was given by me, and now I'm taking it back. In this life, you'll have to learn it yourself. Me, system, what exactly do you want? Song Qingyi entered with some pastries. Your humble servant pays respects to Consort Shu. Song Qingyi nodded politely. I'll leave the princess in your care, sir. The gentleman stroked his beard and sighed. The princess is truly, Song Qingyi, exceptionally clever, sir. Utterly foolish, Song Qingyi. I lay slumped over the desk, half dead. Song Qingyi quietly asked me, "Is it really that hard?" I replied with a dazed look, "For ordinary people, it shouldn't be that difficult." Song Qingyi was about to breathe a sigh of relief. I added, "But I'm different, I'm brain dead." Song Qingyi, "It's not my fault. The characters in modern and ancient times look completely different. The system really took everything back without a trace. Who can understand the pain of seeing a concept and drawing a complete blank, yet clearly knowing that you once had it down?" After several days of classes, I felt like a walking corpse. After the teacher left, Lin Lu pushed the door open to find me on the floor, screaming like a madwoman, writhing and crawling in the dark. I finally gave in. At night, I held Song Qingyi. "Mother, please tutor me." After several nights of tutoring, it was Song Qingyi's turn to look dazed. She stared blankly with a messy, bird's nest-like hair that she had tousled herself. "Princess, my knowledge is still too shallow. Please wait a few more months. No, years. No, decades. Let me finish my studies before I teach you." Lin Lu was laughing so hard she could barely catch her breath. The next day, Xian Ling and I stared at each other in a standoff. Xian Ling, "The tutor says you're foolish." But I refused to believe my daughter could be that stupid. He picked up the brush. "I will teach you myself." 2 hours later, the entire Qianqing palace could hear Xuanling's voice. Xianling spent 2 hours going from calm and composed to thoroughly frustrated. "Say it again, what is this? Didn't I just say that? Xianhua, is that a pig's head attached to your neck?" A whole combo of attacks, practically chasing to kill. I timidly replied, "I don't know, I forgot, it wasn't me, Xianling." Then he irritably called for someone. "Zhao, have the consort Shu come and take her back. Having her here gives me a headache." When eunuch Zhao entered, I smiled awkwardly yet politely. To save my own life, I studied day and night. I never worked that hard even for the college entrance exam. Study, study, study. Once you start studying, you become relentless, lost in it, and give it your all. Time flies like a white steed galloping past a crevice, from enlightenment to awakening. More than a decade has passed in the blink of an eye. Finally, after much hardship, graduation is within reach. After submitting my policy proposal, I anxiously asked Lin Lu, "If Chief Minister Ji doesn't think much of it, does that mean I'm not good enough?" Lin Lu, "That would only mean he has no taste." Well done, attacking others instead of tormenting yourself. When I heard the system prompt that the stage task was completed, I cried tears of joy, and as I wept, it turned into sobbing uncontrollably. I cried and rolled around on the ground. Song Qingyi, "The princess is so overjoyed." Lin Lu, "Perhaps she's been holding it in for too long. It's because that damn system suddenly started electrocuting me." I gritted my teeth inwardly. Didn't I complete the task? System, it's been too long since I last electrocuted you. I was afraid you'd forget, making me seem less authoritative. In the blink of an eye. I've been Xianling's daughter for 14 years. 14 years ago, I was the only princess. 14 years later, I am still the only princess. In the imperial court, ministers threatened with their lives. They said the emperor 2 reigns ago had over 30 children. The last emperor had more than a dozen princes and princesses. How come it's your turn to have only one heir, and a girl at that? This simply won't do, Your Majesty. This concerns the very foundation of the nation. The matter of an heir is of utmost importance. If you do not heed my counsel, I can only prove my loyalty with my death, Xian Ling said with a mocking tone. Then go ahead and die. Everyone said that Princess Xianhua was the apple of the emperor's eye. I shyly ran up to Xian Ling. "Father, they say I am the apple of your eye. Is that true?" He put down his book and glanced at me. "To me, you look more like a pig." If you don't love, don't hurt." One day after lunch, Xianling casually brought up the matter of appointing a crown prince. "When you come of age, I will proclaim to the world and appoint you as the crown princess." I spat the tea in my mouth 2 meters away in an instant. Xianling looked at me with some disdain. "I have only you as my child. I thought you had long been prepared for this. How can you be so useless? Bro, you're telling me such a big deal with a tone as if you just ate 2 pieces of braised pork belly. No one could handle this." To accomplish the mission of becoming the empress, Lin Lu and I have been racking our brains and scratching our heads all these years. It's made our heads go bald from thinking so much. Is it really going to happen so easily now? Happiness came so suddenly that I can hardly believe it. On the day of my coming-of-age ceremony, Xianling announced to the entire court that I would be named the crown princess. The officials below were in an uproar, shouting, "A hen heralds the dawn, a hen heralds the dawn. How can the foundation left by our ancestors fall into the hands of a mere woman?" Some leaped from the city tower, others dashed themselves against the pillars. It took great effort to calm the crowd, and the ministers swaggered with pride, convinced that their words had indeed made an impact. Unexpectedly, a group of young eunuchs filed in carrying trays. On them lay the 3 tools for reincarnation: a dagger, a white silk ribbon, and red crown poison. From the high platform, Xianling's tone was icy cold. "Any minister who objects may choose one to take home and end their own life. Do not dirty my imperial palace." Everyone shuddered. Minister 1, "Speaking of which, Princess Shenhua is His Majesty's only child, so her designation as crown princess is entirely justified." Minister 2, "His Majesty is wise and mighty, and we humbly abide by the sacred decree." Minister 3, "Your Majesty." Minister Ju spoke the loudest just now. "I have already taken note of it. On an auspicious day when I was 15, I was officially crowned as the crown princess." The task progress bar suddenly jumped by more than half. In my previous life, I couldn't make any progress on this task no matter how hard I tried, but in this life, it's quietly nearing completion in a corner. With Xianling around, there's no difference between being the crown princess and being a princess. In late autumn, to build up our autumn fat, Linlu, Song Qingyi, and I had a barbecue in the imperial garden. Linlu's mouth was greasy from eating, as if she had thought of something. "I feel like things are going too smoothly. It's almost scary." Song Qingyi agreed. "We still need to be cautious and take precautions." Their premonition was right. As they were eating, a cold sensation crept up their legs. Looking down, they saw a colorful snake flicking its tongue on their leg. "I dare not move recklessly. I just need to slowly pry it open with chopsticks." I got bitten. The venom spread rapidly. My vision darkened, and I could only hear Lin Lu and Song Qingyi's anxious voices and the chaotic scene around me. "Quickly inform His Majesty. Summon the imperial physician." Fortunately, Lin Lu reacted swiftly, tearing off his clothing to apply pressure and secure the wound near the heart. A series of emergency measures prevented me from immediately succumbing to my fate. How could there be a snake in the imperial garden at this time of year? It must be that someone serving around me has caused the problem. It seems that I, the crown princess, am still too much of an eyesore for them. Factional strife in the court has always been severe, with Xianling having no sons. The ministers all assumed the throne would eventually fall into the hands of some imperial relative, and they took sides accordingly. Little did they know that Xianling would break the mold and produce a crown princess out of thin air. The plan fell through, so they couldn't hold back and decided to get rid of me. In a daze, I heard Xuanling's voice. "Investigate. Leave no survivors among those involved." "And those old men from the imperial hospital?" Xianling asked. "What is the antidote to this poison?" The Imperial Medical Institute hesitated, looking at each other, but only dared to reply with trembling fear. "Your Majesty, there is no antidote for the snake venom." Xuanling's voice trembled. "If you can't cure it, I will have your lives. If our humble lives could ensure the princess's safety, we would willingly give them." The consciousness that followed was also intermittent. There was Song Qingyi's sobbing. She wept. "Princess, why haven't you woken up yet?" And there was the sound of Lin Lu flipping through medical books, murmuring, "No, this won't work. This isn't right either." Even though Lin Lu's skills in traditional Chinese medicine had nearly reached the level of a royal physician over the years, she still couldn't escape the limitations of her era. In ancient times, there were no effective methods to treat snake venom. She forced herself to stay calm and called out to the system. "System. I need antivenom and a syringe." "System. Sorry, the serum doesn't meet the production conditions of this era. I can't provide it." Lin Lu threw a cup at it, looking agitated. "You're talking to me about science now. Is your 100% bare-handed blade catching even scientific?" "System. That still falls within the realm of metaphysics. If the system had a physical form, it would probably be pinned to the ground and beaten by Lin Lu right now." Lin Lu couldn't hold back any longer and burst into loud sobs. "This damn system is useless. What good are you?" The system spoke in a comforting tone. Alright, I never said I wouldn't save her. Lin Lu threw another cup. Why the hell didn't you say so earlier? The system managed to revive me with its bullshit metaphysics. It could be called a miracle of ancient medicine. When I came to, both Lin Lu and Song Qingyi had red-rimmed eyes, like rabbits that had turned into spirits. I looked outside. One person was missing. I asked Zhao De, who only said that His Majesty was busy with state affairs and would summon me once matters were settled. For several days in a row, I did not see Xian Ling. A few days later, I received an imperial decree. The decree stated that Xian Ling had gone on an incognito inspection tour, and the crown princess was to oversee state affairs in his absence. Another week later, I couldn't sit still any longer. I barged into the Qianqing palace. And Zhao De hurried forward upon seeing me. I had asked countless times about Xian Ling's whereabouts before, and each time he evaded the question with vague answers. This time, I didn't waste any words with him. I placed the sword against his neck, my gaze icy cold. Zhao De had never seen me like this and was startled. Your Highness, may I trouble you, sir, to tell me where exactly His Majesty has gone? Finally, Zhao De shook his head and let out a soft sigh. The hot spring palace in the outskirts of the capital. When I found Xian Ling, he was leaning on a chaise lounge, basking in the sun. As I approached for a closer look, I nearly burst into tears. Xian Ling had lost a great deal of weight, his skin unnaturally pale, the blue veins beneath it increasingly visible. He looked like a man on the verge of death, like withered branches in winter, ceaselessly losing vitality. System, is this your method? A life for a life? Xian Ling heard the sound and slowly opened his eyes. Seeing it was me, he beckoned to me, the same way he used to tease me like playing with a dog. My heart ached with sorrow, and I held back tears as I knelt by his knees, forcing a playful tone. Father, you came to such a fine place without even notifying your son. Xian Ling's voice was hoarse. Why are you crying again? Who has bullied my daughter? He reached out to wipe away my tears. But his hand fumbled in the air for a long while before finally touching my face. It was only then that I noticed his vacant eyes. Disbelieving, I waved my hand in front of his face. No response. Xian Ling, can't see anymore. He just waved at me, only because he intuitively thought it was me. My emotions spiraled out of control for a moment, and I questioned the system. Must Xian Ling die? System, his death would be for the best for everyone. Have you forgotten what your mission is? Become the Empress and save all living beings under heaven. System, Xian Ling is not a good emperor. I am not saving you, but the common people of the world. Why torture him then? System, if I let him die instantly, would you be able to accept it? I held Xian Ling's hand to my face and sobbed. No one has bullied me, Your Majesty. I just haven't seen you in so long. Xian Ling seemed to chuckle. Is that so? You were always the most afraid of me when you were little. Who made you always want to kill me before? Xian Ling shook his head gently. Not anymore. I haven't wanted to for a long time. Your son knows. Xian Ling was indeed not a good person, but all these years, he has genuinely loved and cherished me, to the point where I almost forgot that he was the one who killed me in my previous life. He spoke to me as if he were settling his final affairs, telling me who the treacherous ministers were and who the loyal ones were in the court. He told me that he had already drafted the imperial edict, naming me as his successor. His hand left my cheek and fell to my neck, stroking it as if touching an invisible wound. Xian Ling suddenly brought up a completely unrelated topic. Does it hurt? In an instant, I understood his meaning. He knew everything. Father, it doesn't hurt. That afternoon, I leaned against Xuanling's knee, chatting idly and casually, like a father and daughter in an ordinary household. Xuanling's last words were spoken to me from my past life. After all, I have wronged you. The wutong tree in the courtyard swayed ceaselessly, its leaves fluttering and rustling as they fell. I stood frozen in place, touching my face.